about Crow-AMSAA method to model the spreading aggressive COVID-19. Okay. So I'll start the background, the introduction. Then we'll review all other models. Then we talk about Crow-AMSAA model. Then we talk about data analysis results, the summary, and the conclusion. So the background here, you know, I'm an engineer. I'm a reliability engineer. You know, since we have to stay home in order, I sit at home. I look at data. I say, it's interesting. So accidentally, I plug in my Crow-AMSAA for this COVID-19 data. I found something very interesting. It fits the model very well, you know. So I live in Michigan, USA. I started Michigan data. There are, you know, March 28th, I started to use the USA data. After that, I use Spain, Italy, France, Germany, UK, China, and South Korea data, and the New York City data. I plug it in this model. So you can see results later, you know. The data is public data from this website, all these two websites, you know. So 3 websites. So let's talk about the traditional model, I think, which touched in the previous presentation. So traditionally, they use the exponential model. That model looks like. I think I have somebody, yeah, Reggie, you know, he published this in the preprint in the website. So for the exponential at the beginning, right, he uses the model. So that's fits the data. But at the beginning, it works. So after a while, it does not work, you know. So this is the logistic model that's commonly used for this pandemic. So I also tried this model for the China data. So yeah, I mean, this does not work very well, you know, for the data in China and the US. So this is the third model which presented in the previous data, the presentation. So that's normally used by pandemic, you know. So here, I use total new different method, you know, that's from engineer reliability world. You know, we use this Crow-AMSAA for a long time for the failure analysis. So the model started in 1964, but James Dwan, he worked at GE Motor Division. So he plotted the failure, you know, the mixed failure data in the local, you know. So he found that's very interesting to follow a line, you know. So the 1974, Dr. Larry Crow, you know, he was in the Army material system analysis activity, so we could answer. He worked there, so he you know, used a mathematical way to describe what James Dwan found, you know. So turn out that he developed some equations which follow which is read as no homogeneous Poisson process, we call NHPP. So you know, this is equation for Crow-AMSAA model. So only the number here we can know number infections. Parameter, right? So beta is a slope. So it's very similar, interpreted as a Weibull plot. I mean, I don't know how many people know Weibull, but in engineer reliability world, we use a Weibull very well. We use a Weibull plot for failure analysis. So if the beta larger than 1, the transmission rate is increased. So and also the transmission rate is more rapid. The beta is a smaller one, right? So the transmission data is decreased and the rate is slower. When the beta equal 1, the process becomes a homogeneous Poisson process. So yeah, as we mentioned before, if beta is not equal 1, the process cannot homogeneous Poisson process. So that's the mathematics behind it. Then, you know, based on that Crow-AMSAA equation, use log to log to log, right? So we have log nt equal log lambda plus beta log t. So there the log we can make a line, right? So for the model intensity function, that's you use dn divide dt. So that's lambda beta t power beta minus 1. So that's the whole story of a Crow-AMSAA model. So here, yeah, like I mentioned, Crow-AMSAA, so Crow-AMSAA method uses Weibull, which is similar to, use a beta, which is similar to the Weibull beta. So here I briefly mention what the Weibull is. Weibull is divided by Dr. Volati Weibull in 1974 in Sweden. So he, work in fatigue analysis. He used this for the engineer reliability for the Weibull. So Weibull for the single failure mode. So the slope of Weibull speaks the failure is decrease or increase. So we will use this slope beta in our in this COVID-19 spreading, so which I will show later. So Crow-AMSAA model we also call the Weibull power process. We call it WPP. So here's the real data analysis. This data is from February 15th to the April 26th for USA confirmed cases and deaths for COVID-19. So if you plug in this in the Crow-AMSAA model, it's interesting to see, from beginning until here, that's here I call let me go back. So the piecewise of Crow-AMSAA, so from here to here, you can make a line, that's Crow-AMSAA line, that's beta equal 5.138. But then you start different phase from here to here. There's an increase. The beta is 10.49. So this kind of outbreak. So after this point, the outbreak beginning. But after a while, you can see another line coming. So the beta is 6.866. That's another piece of Crow-AMSAA line. And then it started to decrease to the beta 3.686. The last stage we can see the 2.517. So at the beginning, the beta increased there, gradually the beta decreased. But you can see from the data, USA data here for the infection case, we are not, the beta is still not smaller than 1. So that means that we are still increased. The increase slowed down, but it's still increased because beta value is not smaller than 1 yet. So here's the chart to show the real case versus the predicted case. So the yellow one is the real one, the real case. This gray color that's predicted by Crow-AMSAA. Of course, like previous model, in other presentation. So the future prediction, that's really depends on history. So, we can, for this future prediction, we can assume the data, how the beta is changed, how the beta change. So you can predict based on the history we have. And also how many days it's going to last for this beta and another beta, that's prediction. This is the Crow-AMSAA chart for USA deaths. So there's again, there's here until today is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of Crow-AMSAA, So at the beginning we have 5.35. That's the beta value. There we have increased beta values at 10.89, and so on and so forth. Until today. So we have a 2.8776. That's beta still larger than 1. So the death is slowed down, but we still have increased the death because the beta value is still larger than 1. Here's the summary for the beta value for USA data. We have a different phase. We have 5 phases so far. So you can see the beta value for confirmed case and also beta value for the death rate. Here's the Michigan case. For our state, we have a 3 phase. We have a phase 1, 2, 3. So until right now, the phase 3 is we have 1.202. That's the beta value, but the beta value is still slightly larger than 1. So we are still not there yet. That means we are still not decrease. The death rate is still even higher. So the beta is until today is 2.0459. That's the Michigan data. Here's the predicted versus actual for the Michigan effect case. The same principle as the USA data. Here's the China data. You can see that in China, the phase 1 we have 1.683. The beta value is larger than 1, but phase 2, phase 3, the beta value really decreases, the smaller than 1. So that means in China, the spread is dramatically decreased. They're under control. The death data, same thing, So the beta right now is smaller than 1. And this is interesting one. If you take the Crow-AMSAA predicted at the actual data for China, you can see this blue line. That's the actual one. The yellow line is Crow-AMSAA predicted. You can see this piecewise Crow-AMSAA is fit the fit the model very well. That's the China data. The data is from January 22nd until April 11th. So that's the predicted versus the actual data in China. So here's the slope for spin. So use Crow-AMSAA, you can see at the beginning we have a larger beta value for the confirmed case, the 7.9. There until today, the phase 4 we have 1.3. For the death data we have 9.28 at the beginning. Right now we have 1.34. So that means the beta value for the spin is still larger than 1. So it's a slowdown, but it's still increase. Here's data for Italy. So we have confirmed case 4.12 beta value, 1.18 beta value until today was 1.049. So for death rate from 5.462 until today is 1.124. So the beta is still larger than 1. So that means the case still increased. This is the beta value for France. So yeah, the good news for France, right now they have 0.7713. Looks like it's under control. The infected case is decreased based on the Crow-AMSAA analysis, But the death rate, still is 1.315. So that's still increased, Here's data for Germany. So until today, right now, the beta value is 0.756. So that means, the infection rate is decreased, But the death rate is 2.562 is still increased. Here's the data for UK, So you can see the UK in phase 5, the beta value is larger, 2.404 is still higher than 1. But death rate is 2.388 is still increased, Here's the data for the South Korea, you can see they have so far they have 4 different phases, right? So from 3.052 until right now is 0.173. So the beta value is smaller than 1. The death rate is the same thing. They're smaller than 1. That means they're really decreasing now. Here's a summary of discussing. At the beginning of COVID-19, so the infection case does not follow Crow-AMSAA prediction line. So when the outbreak starts, the confirmed case does follow the CE line. So if you go back here, the USA data, I mean, which I show here, you can see clearly at the beginning, they don't follow the Crow-AMSAA line. But after the outbreak, from this point, they really follow the piecewise Crow-AMSAA, And that's point 1. Point 2 is the beta value really indicates the pace of transmission rate or death rate in each case, each phase. The piecewise Crow-AMSAA is quite different phase of spreading. So we use a piecewise Crow-AMSAA describer. And also from piecewise Crow-AMSAA plot at the summary table, you can see the beta, the COVID-19 spreading beta value has different behavior in different places, in different countries. They are different, which where government have a different policy and slow down process, So you can see different countries, different places, the beta values they are different, The traditional traditional model is very difficult to predict the numbers of infection where the disease spread to a new different phase. It's very difficult to predict, but we can use the piecewise Crow-AMSAA to predict that. The limitation for this method, we have to manually separate the data. That means we have, for example, from February 15th until May 1st, right? We have this data, but we have separated from which period they follow Crow-AMSAA. We have separated by head. So that's the limitation for this method. The good fit, of course, depends on how good the data separation. So my conclusion here, based on the analysis of the data from all the countries and places, right? We figure out, this disease spreading and death, they really follow the piecewise Crow-AMSAA method, which we can use Crow-AMSAA method to model the spreading of COVID-19. I think that's all my presentation. So yeah, I have a website and also I have pre-print paper there. So if you are interested, you can read that. Yeah, that's my presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yanshuo. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being available to share your work with us. Thank you very much. One question that I would ask you is, what are the perspectives for the future evolution of the pandemic based on their model, based on its model?
Can you repeat your question? Sorry.
What do you think it can be the perspectives for future evolution of the pandemic based on the model presented?
Yeah, I think I'm an engineer, so I think so this model the beta we carry over from a viral analysis. I think is a very simple way we can use a slope beta to speak which phase of the disease was spreading, right? So that's a very much simple way to model this. That's like, we use a different, we use a different method from engineer world, So the beta value really speaks something. That's we can simplify based on the data. We can simplify this to model this pandemic, to simplify it, Yeah.
Thank you very much. There's a question from Mrs. Adley Anis. She's asking, in your opinion, what are the most factors which affect upon the infections and deaths in Europe?
Oh, I think, maybe I can, if possible, I can show my paper here. So I have all the, because I don't put all the plots in the presentation, but if you go to my paper, I put all the plots for the different countries in Europe, I think here, the government policy really matters, right? You can see when I started this, when I started this Crow-AMSAA, I used Michigan data at the beginning, right? So in March, we only have one line, so I can show you. So you can see only this blue line. But suddenly they changed. Oh, okay, that means in Michigan, March 26th, 24th, the governor issues a stay-home order. So that means this policy really affects, what I tell you, at the beginning, I thought that everything followed one line, but suddenly they follow different pieces. So the same thing to Europe, I have to go to read more, to do more study to see how that affects the line, in Europe. I mean, for example, let's go to the data for the Spain, right? This is the Spain data. For example, I mean, from this stage to this stage change, what kind of policy or what kind of, policy government or people have implemented, why this change to different slope. So I have to read more to figure out why the slope changed. But you can, from the data, you can see the slope is really changed from, we have 3 phases for Spain, for example, here. So we have a different phase here, but we have to figure out how that's related to the slow, to the, stay home policy or lockdown, whatever policy you have. We have to correlated that to this slope,
And I'm sorry, it's Mr. Adley, not Mrs. So Dr. Adley is asking, does the temperature has a role also?
I mean, for my method, we need to do more study. Right now, we don't consider the temperature. We just, for me, I just take the public data. I plug it into the Crow-AMSAA. But like I said, the government policy, the temperature, these things should be considered, to make this work more useful, So we have to consider more factors to see why the slope will keep changing. But you can, from the modeling, you see the slope will really change, we have a different phase,
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Yanshuo Wang. Thank you very much. We appreciate